Hello YouTube, Uncle Lucky here. Today we're going to do an in-depth review of Gotham by Midnight. Should you go out and buy this one right now, or should you wait for it just a little bit longer? We'll find out. So now we're going to do our review phases. First phase is going to be art, second phase is going to be story, third phase is going to be overall whether you should buy it, leave it alone, or wait for it to come out into a graphic novel form. So you have to ask yourself a very important question. Is artwork very important in a comic book? See, it's an odd question, isn't it? You have to think about that for a couple of seconds. How important is artwork in a comic book? If the artwork suffers but the story is really good, can you get past it? Or do you fight through it? That was my problem with this particular series, and I'm fighting to stay where it's at right now, but it's not going well. So I'll explain. First up in our review is art. So I had a lot of reservations about this comic book before I bought it. I saw it sitting on the shelf at the local comic book store, and I wasn't exactly sure what to do with it. I'd pick it up and thumb through it a couple times, but I couldn't get past the artwork, and that was a big thing. Now the art is done by Ben Templesmith, and it's another one of those acquired taste situations. Now, I would never say that you should never read a comic book just because of the art, but if you have a hard time getting past the art, where you can't get into the story, that's a hard sell. So I kept passing by this comic book at the store, and I think it got up to about issue number 4 before I love the title. That's the weirdest part. I love the name of the book. You know, Gotham by Midnight. It's not anything that says Batman, Robin. It's not anything that says any of the other characters, Green Lantern, or the ones that you know or expect to be there. That's the thing about the series. It's very X-Files-esque type of thing that it kept grabbing me every time I saw the name of the comic book. But every time I would pick it up, the art would just put me off so bad. So, I searched the internet for other people who were talking about this particular comic book, and everybody said that the story's phenomenal. So, when we get into this situation, I'm looking at the comic book at the store going, do I want to spend my money on something that the artwork is not appealing to me, but the story is supposedly really, really good? So I gave it a shot. I bought the first 4 issues, and I'll tell you what, after you get past the initial hit with the artwork, which an artist is an artist. They do what they do, and the weird part is, myself being an artist, the artwork actually reminded me a lot of my own stuff, which scares the hell out of me, because if that's what I see in my own work, and I'm not liking the comic book, I probably need to go back to art school. So it definitely, once you get past how the art style is and you really get into the story, it's really good. It really grabs you. And the first 6 issues are just excellent. It's got a very, very neat build-up, and it's got a lot of stuff going for it. But the art is what you have to get past first. Next up is story. The story is written by Ray Fox, and this is going to be spoiler-free as much as possible, but the comic book has been out for at least 10 issues now, so if you haven't seen it yet, I'm not going to give too much of it away, but I will hit on the high points and the low points of where this story is going. So, the story, basically, in the nutshell, is that Gotham by Midnight is a crew of night shift workers for the GCPD, and the team is put together specifically by Jim Gordon, handpicked, and Detective Kurrigan, as you may know also as the Spectre, is leading up this task force, and they do the X-Files thing, which really makes the story very cool. They are the eclectic mix. You've got the dark girl that's into something but you don't know what she is. You've got you know, Kurgan who's leading the charge. You've got a nun, and you've got a scientist, and you've got their boss that's looking after them, and they run into some very interesting issues. And they also throw in a couple of cameos just so you know that it's a DC comic book. Now, the story over the art is where you are really looking for this to come in every month. But the problem being, once they actually switch up artists after issue 6, for whatever reason, the story takes a nosedive. What do I mean here? The story starts off very strong, but you're having a hard time with the artwork. They change the artist, and all of a sudden, the story just seems to suffer. I don't know what it is. It's a very weird mix. It's a give and a take that doesn't seem to work after about issue 6. The biggest problem that I was noticing in the entire series so far is the fact that you don't see Detective Kurgan as the Spectre to start off with. They lead up to it very subtly, and they lead up and they lead up and they lead up until there's a crescendo where the Spectre has to come out and take care of a situation. That's a great build-up. Problem is, after issue 6 or 7, they start relying on the Spectre as a crutch, and they start using him in almost every issue, it seems. So that's where the story starts to take a nosedive. You change artists, the story starts to change a little bit, they change up the characters just as you start getting used to them, and that's what you end up with. So now for my final thoughts on Gotham by Midnight. If you really are into story and artwork isn't that big of an issue to you, I would pick up the first 6 issues of this comic book and enjoy every second of it. If you're really hard-pressed on the artwork, that it has to look a certain way and there has to be certain archetypes, then you're not going to get past it through the first 6 issues. It's just going to be a hard sell for you. After issue 6, though, unfortunately the story does start to take a nosedive, and they start changing things too dramatically and relying on the Spectre to come out and save everybody every second of every panel, it seems. So I would say if they're going to make it into a graphic or a hardcover, get the first 6 issues. It's really good just to have in your collection. If you're going any further past that, I would probably give it a pass. And that was my review of Gotham by Midnight. You guys tell me if there's anything else out there that you want me to review, and I'll go out and buy it right now, and I'll bring it back here, and I'll read the hell out of it, and I'll do a complete review on it. I'm going to try and stay away from number 1s as a single for any comic book. I would like to pick up 3 or 4 issues into something. If you guys want me to read a storyline and see if it's any good before you pick it up, just let me know. You can also reach me at Quizinart on Twitter. So, you guys have a good one. I'll see you on the next comic book Quizinart. Start off. Where are we going to start off? I don't even know what I'm saying already. This is already how it's starting. Hello YouTube, Uncle Lucky here, and today we're going to do an in-depth review of Gotham by Midnight. Should you buy this, or should you let it wait and get old and aged and dirty? So now we're going to do our review. So now we're going to do our review in phases. We're going to start with what is on my face. So now we're going to do. This is Uncle Lucky, and that was my review of Gotham by Midnight. We'll see you guys on the next one. If you want to talk to me, catch me on Twitter at Quizinart. Quizinart.